And I know what I just did there. Many of you going to say, hey, Floyd Money Mayweather, he's the greatest, he's not the greatest welterweight of all time. I'm not going to allow that. Sugar Ray Robinson is. But he's greater than Manny Pacquiao. How is Manny Pacquiao number 3? He's definitely under Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather beating.
Hi, this is Joe Cortez. You're watching ShowBizz, The Adult.
Oh, this is Bernard Hopkins, ShowBizz, The Adult. I'm out.
Oops. Up off net. Up off net. What's up, my people? This is ShowBizz, The Adult. All right, man, look. So, what does Manny Pacquiao has to do to get on my top 10 pound for pound greatest fighters of all time list? Oops. All right, man, Lord. Let's get to the video. First, I want to say this. If you haven't already, please go by showbiztheadult.com. Go to my online store, pick you up a few cups, pick you up some ShowBizz the Adult merchandise. ShowBizz the water, room temperature. So, a show business partner reached out to me today. He was just like, look, Manny Pacquiao, okay, you don't have him in your top 10, you put him in your top 20, okay, and I want to make this clear. I didn't really have an order, okay, I put him somewhere around the 19, 20 holes, something like that, but he can definitely be 15, 14, he can definitely be there. I was running off names, okay, and that's where, you know, I just kind of put him at the moment. I didn't really sit down and come up with the top 20 list, but he's not in my top 10. So the show business partner hit me on the DM, asked me, well, if he were to beat Terrence Bud Crawford, would he be in your top 10? If he were to beat Errol the True Spence, would he be in your top 10 then? If he becomes undisputed, is it possible he can become a top 10 pound for pound fighter on your list, ShowBizz the Adult? I thought it was an excellent question. And I think a few of you guys challenged me in my comments when I first did my top 30. I think it was top 30 we ran off. First, I want to say this about Manny Pacquiao. The guy is an all-time great, all-time GOAT, okay? The 8 divisions, winning the title in 8 different divisions, that's just incredible. That has never been done before. It's so difficult, it's almost impossible. You can almost bank on it not happening in your lifetime, okay? Again, Inoue probably has the best shot, but you have to understand how Manny Pacquiao was able to do that, accomplish that. The guy was a kid pretending to be an adult when he turned pro. He was malnourished. The guy was eating off the streets in the Philippines. He was malnourished. He started fighting, very skinny, very small kid, and grew into a man, but was taking on champions as he was growing. I mean, you know, yeah, really, the likelihood of that happening is very slim. On top of that, you have to be an all-time great fighter. All right, so all the stars got to align in order for that to happen. That's a very difficult thing. On top of that, what is it, 5 lineal champions? Check me on that. I don't want to go to my phone right now, but 5? I think 5 lineal titles he got. So it's not that he was just grabbing titles out of thin air, okay? He was a lineal champion 5 times. I believe it's 4 or 5 times. I think it was 5. So amazing, okay? Manny Pacquiao, amazing. And to me, when you think of Manny Pacquiao as an all-time great, you have to go about it in the Henry Armstrong way, okay? Homicide Hank. And this is what I mean by that. Henry Armstrong, you know, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. Is he the greatest featherweight of all time? No, I wouldn't. No, I mean, you got to think of guys like Sandy Sadler. You got to think about guys like Willie Pep, Salvador Sanchez. Is Homicide Hank number 1? I'm going to lean towards no. He's not the greatest featherweight of all time. Lightweight. I'm going to say no. I don't think Homicide Hank is the greatest lightweight of all time. You got to think of guys like Roberto Duran. You got to think about guys like Joe Gans and Ike Williams. Man, Sweet Pea Whitaker. There was a lot of guys. Tony Canzoneri. Benny Leonard. Okay? Just a lot of guys at lightweight. Is Homicide Hank the greatest lightweight of all time? Probably not. Is he the greatest welterweight of all time? Probably not. I mean, Sugar Ray Robinson I have at number 1. And number 2, you probably go with Sugar Ray Leonard. Okay? So, yeah, I wouldn't have him as the greatest welterweight of all time. But pound for pound, Henry Armstrong may just be the second greatest fighter pound for pound. So that's how you got to think of Manny Pacquiao. Is he the greatest featherweight, super featherweight of all time? Probably not. Greatest lightweight? Nah. Greatest welterweight? And that's the funny thing. To be a small guy, when you think of Manny Pacquiao, when you think of him as a welterweight. I mean, just his greatness. You think of him as a welterweight. And that put me on pause because he's probably a top 5 welterweight of all time. Manny Pacquiao, you have Sugar Ray Robinson. I have Sugar Ray Leonard. And now you got to start thinking. It may just be Manny Pacquiao at number 3. That's astounding. That's because he's in the land of the giants there. And Manny Pacquiao's really made his bones there. So, I mean, yeah, that's astounding. That's excellent. And I know what I just did there. Many of you going to say, hey, Floyd Money Mayweather, he's the greatest he's not the greatest welterweight of all time. I'm not going to allow that. Sugar Ray Robinson is. But he's greater than Manny Pacquiao. How is Manny Pacquiao number 3? He's definitely under Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather beat him. Okay, and you know, against that point, like I've always said, Iran Barkley beat Tommy Hearns twice, and Tommy Hearns is greater than Iran Barkley. Okay, so we're not going to really go there as far as who beat who, but who accomplished greater things. And I think Manny Pacquiao accomplished greater things than Floyd Money Mayweather, and I think, I personally think that his career was more exciting. And on top of that, over a year ago, it was before the Keith one-time Thurman fight. I did a video when a lot of you guys were getting to know me back then, and it was a video that blew up pretty well. I made a controversial statement. I said Manny Pacquiao just taking the fight, if he takes the fight against Keith one-time Thurman, he's greater than Floyd Money Mayweather at that point. And I said that because, to me, Manny Pacquiao was further over the hill than Floyd Money Mayweather when he had the opportunity to take on the number 1 ranked fighter at that time, which was Keith one-time Thurman, and he passed it up to take on Berto. And I just thought Manny Pacquiao having that grit, having that integrity, and taking on Keith one-time Thurman as the challenger at 41 years old, I just thought it just taking him on, you know, just edged Floyd Money Mayweather as far as greatness. And then he went on to beat him and become the WBA champion. So I got him ahead of Floyd Money Mayweather. So as far as the topic, would I put him in my top 10 if he were to beat Terrence Bud Crawford or Errol the True Spence? ShowBizz the Water, room temperature, top 10. You know, that's very difficult for me. I'm gonna say this. Becoming undisputed definitely puts him very high. He's already arguably, you know, people are saying is he the greatest of all time. He becomes undisputed in his 40s. It's not even just becoming undisputed. It's who he's faced, who he beat to become undisputed. You're talking about huge welterweights, and I'm not talking just size. Big, skillful, athletic, hard-punching, and dangerous, aggressive, prime welterweights in Errol the True Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford. If you were to beat them both and become undisputed, it's you know, it's no question. You have to start, you know, and Manny Pacquiao's on the short list of greatest of all time. But I'm here to argue this. I'm not sure if he actually has to beat Terrence Bud Crawford to shoot up, you know, towards the top 10. If Manny Pacquiao at 42 years old takes on Terrence Bud Crawford and makes it a solid fight, even if he loses, makes it a solid fight to unify with the WBA and the WBO at 42 years old, you know, that's enough for me to put him very close to the top 10. If he were to beat Terrence Bud Crawford, he'll probably be in my top 10. He'll probably be in my top 10. To go even further, if he were to beat Errol the Truth Spence, I would actually see that as maybe a bigger win than Terrence Bud Crawford because of the matchup. But on top of that, it's because he'll be unifying 3 belts at that point: the WBA, the IBF, and the WBC. So if he were to beat Errol the Truth Spence, I would definitely put him in my top 10. He doesn't have to beat them both to be in my top 10. If he were to beat them both and become undisputed, now you're starting to say Sugar Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, and now you're thinking Manny Pacquiao, Willie Pep. You'll just start. It'll be a natural thing to start saying that. But to go to those guys, the reason why those guys are so hard to topple and to take from, the top 10, you got to think about what those guys were doing. They were really superhuman. They were doing superhuman things, running 30 miles, often. Very often before fights to prepare for fights. And the fights were, within 2 weeks of each other. So you jump into it, you fight a guy, close to death, blood flying everywhere, gloves are smaller, all those things. You guys have a life or death battle, and then you rematch the guy 10 days later, and you train for it. Well, I'm talking about, forget just concussions, broken nose, cauliflower ear, cuts that's not all the way healed, and you go run 30 miles to prepare for the fight again 10 days later. Those guys were practically superhuman. And if you have a Manny Pacquiao beating a Terrence Bud Crawford, beating an Errol the True Spence at 40-something years old, after everything that he's done, all the wars that he's had, it's not like, he's, he took some time off like George Foreman, or it's not like, he didn't take much punches like Floyd Money Mayweather, but this guy was not clean out on a couple occasions. Definitely against Marquez. This guy had, wars, wars against Eric Morales and stuff like that. And to do this, this late, if you were to accomplish something like that, look, even taking on Mikey Garcia and if you were to beat Mikey Garcia, I'm like, man, this guy is just outstanding. ShowBizz the adult. That's what makes those guys, in my opinion, so great. The Sam Langfords, the Joe Gans, the Sugar Ray Robinsons, the Henry Armstrongs and Willie Peps and Sandy Sadler and all those boys, Archie Moores. What made them so great is they were practically superhuman. Their work rate, how often they were fighting, their activity, and all the things that they accomplished, their knockout rates and all those things, how many different weight classes with no tweener weight classes, those guys were practically superhuman. Manny Pacquiao would be jumping in that realm if he were to beat Terrence Bud Crawford or Errol the True Spence or both. I'm out!